The Indian Air Force may soon get its first stealth fighter jet for the next India-Pakistan war. The news has grabbed all the headlines. In a huge boost to Indian defense capabilities, New Delhi and Moscow have taken the first step for the Su57 to be manufactured right here in India. Defense sources told news agency ANI that Russian agencies are, quote, assessing the level of investment required to manufacture the aircraft in India, unquote. With this, the official process begins to set up a Su57 Felon manufacturing hub in India. This comes days after Modi-Putin friendship was on full display at the SCO summit in China, where Prime Minister Modi termed India-Russia relations vital for global security.
वैश्विक शांति, स्थिरता और समृद्धि के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है.
So how many squadrons is the Indian Air Force seeking? Why the Su57 is likely to win over F-35? Where will it be built? By when could India have its first stealth jet? And what does this mean for AMCA? Let's take a quick look at some of these questions. Reports suggest the Indian Air Force is likely to acquire 3 to 4 squadrons of the Russian stealth fighter. However, there is a catch. According to this report in Defense Security Asia, the Indian Air Force wants the Russians to change the current radar on the Su57 with an Indian-made ASAR radar. Now, the Su57E has a N036 radar which uses gallium arsenide. However, Indian Air Force prefers the Indian gallium nitrate-based ASAR radar. Now, this one reportedly provides better range, a better signal handling capability, as well as superior thermal handling. So not only are the Russians doing investment study for the project, the report suggests India has evaluated the Su57 and held technical discussions before its integration. In July, India's Defense Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh had revealed that there are talks ongoing with an ally for the acquisition of a stealth fighter jet. Meanwhile, India-US ties have soured due to Trump's tariff tactics, and with it, the F-35 looks extremely unlikely now, even though Trump had offered it to India.
Paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters.
However, the F-35 has another problem, a highly questionable safety record. Since 2018 alone, there have been at least 13 crashes of the F-35, which at $1.7 trillion is the most expensive military project ever in history, and that's nearly 4 times Pakistan's GDP. In fact, it has now been revealed that an F-35 pilot held nearly a 1-hour-long phone call with engineers trying to fix a bug on the aircraft. However, he eventually had to eject as the jet crashed in Alaska earlier this year. But coming back to the potential Su-57 manufacturing deal in India, now Russia is hoping to take a huge advantage and bag this multi-billion-dollar Indian defense deal. So Russian manufacturers have now begun the assessment of investment amount, the payment process, as well as partnerships with Indian manufacturers for any stealth fighter venture in India. India's industrial capacity would potentially be leveraged to accommodate the production of the Su-57 fighters, thus minimizing setup cost and streamlining the transfer of technology as well. If the Su-57 production arrangement works out, the HAL's Nasik facility, which manufactures the Su-30 MKI fighter jets, might potentially become the hub to make this Russian fighter jet. India has already manufactured 270 Su-30 MKI fighter jets, which now form the backbone of the Indian Air Force and were used by India during Operation Sindoor to hit Pakistani air bases. Now, defense sources further pointed out there are other facilities in India also where a number of other Russian origin equipment is manufactured and can be used in the 5th generation fighter aircraft production, which would also help cut costs, unquote. Now, one thing is for sure, if the Indian Air Force could shoot down 6 to 7 Pakistani fighter jets in Operation Sindoor with S-400s and then strike 10 Pakistani air bases with Sukhoi 30s and Rafale fighter jets, then with the Sukhoi 57 in India's arsenal, it's just game over for Pakistan in any future war. Boosting India's defense modernization efforts, Russia's offer comes at a time when India is looking to add 3 to 4 squadrons of advanced foreign stealth fighter aircraft. But how will partnering Russia for Su-57 joint production benefit India? Firstly, manufacturing Su57 locally will enhance India's strategic autonomy. This will mean that India would maintain and upgrade the fleet independently, reducing any reliance on foreign supply chains and even on Russia for maintenance, spare parts, or combat readiness. Secondly, importing the Russian fifth-generation fighter will be an expensive affair, but producing them in India would lower acquisition costs. Thirdly, utilizing HAL's established production lines could mean rapid integration, with officials revealing that production could begin soon after India's approval. Now, this is especially important given the strain on Russia's defense manufacturing due to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Next, this will enhance India's advanced aviation ecosystem at a time when the Indian Air Force faces a shortage of fighter jet squadrons. Production in India would allow easier follow-on orders when needed. Local manufacturing will ensure a steady supply of jets to bolster India's air power, especially given the ever-present threat of a two-front war with China and Pakistan. Now, China already flies over 200 J-20 stealth fighters, and there have been reports that Pakistan also might acquire nearly 40 Chinese J-35 jets, though there is no official confirmation on when that will happen. Moscow is basically offering India with a stopgap solution before the indigenous Indian stealth fighter jet, the AMCA, joins the Indian Air Force in 2035. However, till then, there is a capacity gap and a requirement for advanced stealth fighters, which the Indian Air Force can fill with made-in-India Su57. But what is Rosboronexport's pitch to India? Reuters had previously reported that Moscow's state arms exporter proposed a full transfer of technology and local manufacture in India. During Asia's largest air show, Aero India 2025, held earlier this year in Bengaluru, Rosboronexport CEO Alexander Mikheyev stated, quote, "Rosboronexport offers comprehensive development of cooperation for the Su57E project. Our proposal includes the supply of the finished aircraft, the organization of their joint production in India, and assistance in the development of an Indian fifth-generation fighter," unquote. The CEO further emphasized that the proposal aligns with India's Make in India campaign and will strengthen Bharat's self-reliance in defense technology. There have been reports suggesting Russia is willing to grant India unprecedented control over the aircraft source code. Now, this is something the Americans would never do for their prized F-35. With the source code, the Indian Air Force can integrate made-in-India weapon systems, including ASAR radars, mission computers, and precision-guided munitions, as well as Indian missiles like the BVR Astra air-to-air missile and the anti-radiation Rudram missiles to neutralize Pakistani air defense systems and communication networks. The opportunity will offer long-term benefits for the country's combat capabilities, including the ability to upgrade the jet's software and systems independently. This means India will have full autonomy in operating the aircraft and integrating new avionics and weaponry developed both in India as well as third parties. But what exactly is a source code? Now, this is like the brain of a fighter jet. It determines how it flies, how it fights, and operates in combat. The evaluation of investment requirements for local production of the Su57 shows Russia's keen interest in re-establishing a strategic fighter aircraft partnership with India. Made in India Su57 will also ensure Russian origin defense equipment remains at the center of global arms market, as India and Russia could explore made in India Su57s for export, just like the BrahMos missile. The eventual decision by New Delhi and the Modi government will likely hinge on careful assessment of cost, technology transfer, industrial participation, and balance of geopolitical equations with Moscow and Washington. Now, Moscow has put forward this Sukhoi 57 production proposal at a time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin's recent closeness at the SCO summit in China has blown up the internet. Modi and Putin also held a secret conversation in Putin's car. The Russian president waited and invited Prime Minister Modi to ride with him to hold one-on-one talks away from media glare. The Russian president also dubbed Modi as a dear friend. The pictures of these two leaders walking hand in hand have gone viral and at the same time sent out a strong message to Trump's America amid the tariff pressure on Indian exports. Modi government will not abandon India's energy security and friendship with Russia due to American tariff bullying. Soon this friendship may see its biggest crown jewel, a made in India Su57 ready to strike deep behind enemy lines. But what do you believe? Will Su57 give the Indian Air Force total air superiority over Pakistan in the next war? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.